Okay guys, we are live on Facebook. I'm going off because real estate agents have this conversation with me continually about a poor experience that they've had with a team. They've said to themselves, you know what? I've already been on a team before. I think real estate teams are not what I expected them to be, and I'm gonna set the record straight. This is my manifesto for what I believe real estate teams are all about and why they exist. So here it is. If you wanna listen up, you're gonna follow this video. What I will lay out in here is exactly what I believe real estate teams should be like, their purpose, what they're designed to do, what they're not designed to do, what I believe a brokerage's role is in the entire residential real estate sales industry, and why I believe real estate agents should work with the team. All right, so here we go. The first thing that we need to define is what is a real estate team. Now, the Department of Consumer Protection and I probably disagree a little bit because in the past, they've come out with some recent verbiage on what a real estate team is. Let me define it based upon their definition. It's a real estate team is a group of at least 2 licensed individuals, real estate brokers or real estate salespersons who are affiliated with the same sponsoring real estate broker and engaging in advertising as a group using a team name. That's it. There's nothing about like a team constitution, what they need to provide, the actual training, support, leads, anything about that. And so it's no wonder that real estate agents are constantly baffled by this idea of what a real estate team is. In fact, many times it's been approached as these partnerships that get together of 1 or 2 real estate agents and they're just selling and maybe they cover for their clients. Maybe they split commissions. I don't even know how that works. I don't even know if that's profitable. There's other examples of an agent who just happens to offer he's a producing agent or she's a producing agent. They offer a high split to a real estate agent and other realtors sell alongside them in hopes of what? That they maybe get some advice along the way, that maybe they'll help them out on a listing presentation or on a buyer consultation, or maybe they can advertise as a team. Who knows, you might get some rental leads now and then. I mean, if you're a realtor, you get exactly what I'm talking about. And what these real estate teams seem to be many times is just simply a high producing person surrounding themselves with a bunch of individuals and then elevating their own status and numbers based upon success through others. Does that sound familiar? Because it is for so many people across the country. And my name, by the way, if you've not followed me before, you've probably seen me on Facebook or Instagram. It's David Brook, and I run a real estate team. I'm a real estate coach. I run teams in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and in Florida. And we've been selling since 2017, and I've been in the industry over a decade. I feel like I've seen it all. I've been through this whole process, and what I've realized after all of it is that success together works a lot better than success on your own. And for other people, I just want to be super clear up front. This is going to be a little bit of a presentation here. If you have already decided in your mind, man, I don't work well with others. I don't like accountability. I don't like the idea of, possibly systems and operations, and I don't like all that stuff. Great, it's not for you. You can go ahead and just swipe. But if you know someone who's getting together in the real estate industry and they're looking for a little bit more cohesiveness and they're looking to grow their careers, well, that's exactly what this is all about. So please share this video, put comments below. We're going to be responding to them shortly. Okay, so the first thing is, what is a brokerage? What does a brokerage actually do? Well, it's my understanding that brokerages really just provide a few things. They're providing national branding. So like when you're a part of this national brand, there's recognition associated with it. And it does work on an individual level. Sometimes there's these small independent shops and they have a name built in a small community that's well known and recognized. That's what they're providing, a small branding for you. Number 2, they're providing a technology which is usually a large tech resource, something that individual agents or even a group of agents coming together, it would be harder for them to produce together. This is going to be maybe like a larger CRM or proprietary software, their compliance departments, whatever that is, they're probably going to provide something along those lines. And then lastly, they're probably going to provide some coverage for you. And that's going to be things like, larger, insurance, or they might provide, they've got a broker who's on staff is protecting you, from getting into hot water at times. Those are the things that they're really providing for you. They might provide office space, they might provide this or that, maybe they don't. But the reality is that brokerages provide this. Now, why do they do that? Why is it so vague as to what they provide? It's because of the actual model of how a brokerage works versus the model of how a team works. You see, we're all independent contractors. 1099 contractors according to the IRS. It's very clear that we're not employees. We do not work for the actual broker in terms of like as an absolute employee. And so what do? If technically we're an entity and they are an entity together, then both need to have a symbiotic relationship. And the relationship, hopefully, that most are getting is that the brokerage is going to provide something that's going to help me grow my career. But the reality is, my friends, is that their business model is quantity-based. Get as many as they possibly can. And why is that? You can absolutely see that in the way that they market, in the way that they brand. They'll take your face and they'll pop it over an existing brand that is not differentiated in between you or anyone else. Their whole models, their training programs, nothing is actually specified or intensified for individuals at all. It is simply made for one large, cohesive national brand. That's the idea behind it. And these residential real estate brands compete against one another through various offerings. They might try to attempt to, okay, we're going to try to work with buyers or work with sellers. We're going to try to do that. And they're going to compete in these training exercises with each other, and they're going to trade off in what are called splits. And they're going to say, okay, if you want to work with our brand, it's going to be X amount for a split versus another brand, and we'll provide these marketing. But all they are together, collectively, are just different wrapping papers of the same idea with different splits associated. So I really need you to understand, if you're brand new in the industry or you're experienced, your brokerage is like your clearinghouse. It's like your clearinghouse. If you were a part of a, let's say I have a financial wealth advisor. I don't know where they clear through, whether they clear through Morgan Stanley or some other brand. It doesn't matter for me. The brokerage is how you actually get paid as a real estate agent. And the platform on which you're actually going to get paid, how you get paid, and any other offerings that they have. I hope that makes sense. And everything else, when you get into the real estate industry and you sign up with your broker, they may hand you some business card, but from there it's like best of luck. Best of luck. I hope you got this. We've got an office, you can attend some like larger group trainings that we have, but there's nothing that's really specified. And that's why, my friends, listen to me and hear me. There is an 87% turnover rate in this business for brand new agents. The model is broken. Brokerages know that you're going to sell about 3 to 7 houses in your first year. You're going to probably sell one to yourself or your family member. You're going to maybe meet somebody at an open house, and then you're just going to get lucky. And the reality is they're betting on that because they have very little invested in you. Think about that when you get started into real estate. Are they taking money out of their pocket and spending anything more than maybe $50 on a headshot or a business card? No. Their investment is large scale, and their design is to recruit as many as possible. Think about it this way. Ask yourself the last time the manager came to you and said, hey, what's your quota, so that you make sure that you hit your goals so that you can provide for you and your family. It doesn't happen that way. And the reason is their mindset and mentality is the numbers producing creates the larger brand. It's why this industry is in flux. And actually, the real estate industry needs teams more than ever before. Let me explain to you. The difference of a brokerage and a team is the team can do what the brokerage could never do. It can get down into the personalization of every single agent to help them succeed in their career. There is never a time where the brokerage or the broker is actually taking you out, maybe in a small independent shop, maybe, and they're taking you out and showing you how a home actually works. They're taking you and showing you, this is how you actually show a house. Let's go out together to properties, and I want you to follow me around and see how I show homes, and I want you to see the best ways. Let me teach you not just how to write a purchase contract. Let me detail through you all of the iterations as to where specific verbiage might play in. Here's the latest in what's happening in your specific town and county. Here's the competition, what they're providing. That doesn't happen. And the reason that doesn't happen is because they are quantity model focused, not quality model. And this is the difference. Now, I need you to imagine for yourself, if you're a real estate agent, you've joined the business and you've thought to yourself, I want to grow my business. And you have that opportunity. Imagine your business almost as building a house. And you went up there and you had to sign up with a brokerage. And that brokerage was more or less like the foundation. It's what you were going to build upon. Now, brokerages will tell you that everything's built and you need to move in. But then when you ask them, okay, great, let's go get leads and where's my support systems for this, and who's going to walk me through specific things? It's generally like, well, we have a broker or there's a manager, but go ahead, call the manager at 9 o'clock at night and figure out where they are. It's not going to happen. And so the reality is that agents need an opportunity to be able to get down into the most current of what's available in order to get trained on that. They also need the support systems in order to get leads and understanding how to actually convert, etc. And then on top of that, they need the understanding of how to build their own business and their own brand apart from something that is some nationally owned company, right? And so why? Is because if we're going to be employees of them, fine, we'll work for them and we'll be under their brand completely, right? We'll never say a single thing about ourselves. We just are always them. But the reality is we're not. We're subcontractors who have to pay our own taxes. So we are therefore building and technically by IRS self-employed. And if I'm self-employed, I want something that for myself, I own for myself. I have it so I can grow my own business. And that's what you want as a real estate agent. That's why we get into this business, to have unlimited income and to have a flexible schedule. Why? To be my own boss. But the reality is as soon as we subscribe to a brokerage-only model, we believe for ourselves that that's how it goes. And we listen to individuals that unfortunately probably couldn't cut it in sales and ended up taking a salary position and are using the same exact advice that they were given that didn't help them succeed in sales in order to give that to yourself. I'm telling you, stop listening to that. In order to succeed, find the top teams in your area that have the best sales records. That's what's happening. Okay, so let's break this down. What should teams do? In my estimation, this is my team's manifesto, is that teams should provide 3 things: training, support, and leads to agents. And I'm going to be clear about all of those. When I talk about training, we all know as experienced agents, or if you're an experienced agent ever watching this, that we all know how to fill out purchase contracts. And in the beginning, sure, you don't. You don't know about riders and you don't know how to fill out certain things. But as you begin to grow in your career, you actually want to learn more things. Things that potentially managers don't understand or don't know how to do. Let's talk about our first assistants. Let's talk about forming ourselves and getting paid through a brokerage and filing as S-corps and actually like maybe making some tax savings. And hey, how do we actually advise people and understand the commercial process or investments or calculating cap rates or actually growing my own business and my own personal brand? And how do I become a local industry leader? How do I do those things? And most of the time what ends up happening is that a manager might prop up one individual who's learned to do that on their own and say that that's the way and it's through their exclusive brokerage. That's not true. You are the brand. You are the model. And that's what I need you to understand and help you own. So teams provide training, support, and leads. And that functions in a variety of ways. Now, it's my belief that training should happen on a continual basis. What we provide for our agents continually is training multiple times a week, not only in a digital capacity, but also an in-field capacity. So they're out in the field continually learning exactly how homes work and how showing should happen. And let's walk new construction together and break down the exact process of how you actually build a home and what goes into it. Let's talk about the different roof sizes and shapes and how much things cost. Let's talk about how items depreciate over time and what the value is and what happens if you actually, add this to a property. How much value does it add? Brokerages can't do that. Teams do that. Top agents may be able to do that, but the advice starts to fall thin. So what else can we train about? We can train in a capacity of just classroom settings. We can train from video, or we can train personally. In my understanding and belief, mentorship should be at the absolute core of growing your business. If you're new in the business or if you've grown as a leader, the ability to mentor others allows you to master things. You see, we don't master things unless we teach others. It's then that we actually look at our process and see how we're doing things to see if we can actually grow a little bit better. So my goal and understanding here is that each one teaches one. And that as you grow in your real estate business, you're able to teach others and therefore grow yourself. And so as real estate teams, training is at the absolute core of where they are. Now, most teams have this idea of, hey, we're just gonna, you can come to a couple of things. I'll show you, my listing presentation. I'll give a description for you. We break it down to the absolute infinitesimal to make sure that agents can succeed at any level. Now, I wanna be clear. You cannot cause anyone to be successful, but you can facilitate an environment to give them the absolute chance of success. Let me say again, there's an 87% fallout rate, turnover rate in this business. And it is my belief and understanding that I want to change that so that agents getting into the business or experienced agents aren't wavered by the market or by the fluctuations that end up happening, but they actually have the support systems around themselves to succeed. So what does that look like? Well, if you're onboarded to a team like ours, there's over a 500-step process of day-to-day, week 3, day 2, week 4, day 1, day 6, on exactly what to do, where to go, who to connect with, what people to call, the steps you take. Here's what you need to do. Add X amount of people to your database during this day. Call them with this script. Say these things in order to grow your business. This is the actual onboarding process for agents to succeed. And training expands further and further across the actual model of a team rather than a brokerage, which provides these potentially siloed areas of where you can grow. So let's talk about not only just training here, let's talk about getting set up right from the start. Most of the training that happens within brokerages are these classes that randomly happen. What we've developed for ourselves is a 12-week intensive boot camp where agents are in on this business, whether you've been experienced or not, and learn how to negotiate all of the intricacies behind how mortgages work, the intricacies of inspections and breaking down every part of the property and how this actually, they all fit together, how to negotiate inspections, the best ways to present offers, everything, 14 ways on how you can win offers. This intense type of training is not offered at brokerages and is offered with teams. And if you're a part of a team that doesn't offer these opportunities, you have to ask yourself the question, what am I actually paying for? What is the purpose of the team and what am I paying for? So training is a massive part of this. Now, support systems need to occur as well. You need to think for yourself that there's over 180 steps in the real estate sales process. Everything. NAR has actually itemized this. The National Association of Realtors has itemized every little piece. That's from, I meet the client and then we input their information into, a database. And then from there, we go and reference things at town records and we check with building departments and we call, and because we've minimized the process as the real estate community to a couple of large milestones like get pre-approved and, find a house and, connect with your realtor to write an offer and all these things. Because we've minimized it down to this 7-step process, the real estate industry pretty much devalues. But the reality is that as a business owner, if you're functioning as a business owner, you think to yourself, there's probably a lot of steps in this part of the business where I can do it. And I could do it on my own. But it's better, there are other individuals who have the makeup, the general personality types, or the skill sets in order to do this better. You see, it would be really weird if you walked in, let's say, and you went to the airlines, and you walked in and the person there checked you in. And then after they checked you in and gave you your tickets, they said, well, go over here to drop your bag off. And when you went over, it was the same person. And they made sure your bag was tight. And then they said, well, go over through security and they'll check you in over there. So you walk in through and that same person standing there and they check you in with your passport or your license and pat you down and check your bag, and then they send you through to the gate, and when you got to the gate, it's the same person there. And you get the idea. You get all the way on the plane, you see it's the same person, and then that same exact person gets on the intercom and says, hey, I'm going to be flying the plane. Like, you might think that's a little bit weird. But in the real estate industry, we do this all the time. And we do this all the time out of a scarcity mindset. And the reason is actually perpetrated by brokerages. And the reason it's perpetrated by brokerages is they know you're only probably going to sell on the averages of around 7 to 10 homes a year. And so if you're only selling around 7 to 10 homes a year, then why not get the best split possible and focus completely on splits, which is the bottom part of the funnel. And my friends, if you were ever starting a business, and I run multiple other businesses, you'd want to understand the value proposition of what it took in order to make sure that the business succeeded. And the idea in this industry is that agents can say, I can do everything myself, but they are prone to the vicissitudes, the ups and downs, the wavering of the market, the difference that their sphere might buy 15 homes that year and the next year their sphere buys 5 homes. They're siloed into these specific ideologies, which tell them, I'm not going to have enough. It's a scarcity mindset. And because I don't have enough, I need to actually tailor myself to get the best possible split instead of focusing on what's going to cause my business to succeed. And you must ask yourself, as you look across the real estate industry, there are agents who definitely succeed without teams. I'm not saying teams are a good fit for everyone. But what I am saying is that the probability for success is significantly higher on a team rather than this 87% failure rates than it is off a team, because simply they do not have the training, support, and leads that surround them. So let's continue to talk about this support. Well, support happens in a variety of factors. If we're not going to do, and we decide for ourselves, we're going to run as a business and not as just this is a hobby or a side project, or I can do it how I want, when I want, you're not running rogue. If that's good for you, go do it. But if you decide to run as a business with systems and operations, then you realize for yourself, okay, is this my best and highest dollar per hour to do this activity? And what you should do in your business is actually itemize for yourself. What are my highest dollar producing activities? And for real estate agents, it's 5 things we've determined. It's lead generation, it's lead follow-up, it's writing contracts, negotiating, and practicing. And apart from those things, everything else in this entire business can actually be leveraged. Imagine you went into Starbucks and it was the manager was running around, setting up and stocking the shelves and taking orders and pulling coffee and talking with customers. It would be silly for you to see that. But real estate agents as solopreneurs do it constantly. And the idea is just perpetrated by brokerages, telling them that they have everything that they need and that it's just they themselves that need to fight for their best split and hope that they do well. Well, my friends, hope is not a strategy. The best way to do this is to set yourself up for success with training, support, and leads. So let's go into support. All of these steps in the industry, most of these can be handled through either transaction coordination or listing coordination. We make it an effort on our team in order to make sure that agents don't have to touch a file once it's contract all the way to close. We ensure for them that it's already done. Even during the showing process, we have systems that will schedule the showings for our agents, disclosures provided in your inbox, offers written completely for you. All of this is done by individuals who are trained to do this, not good once or can do it, but good every time on how to do it. For listing coordination, once a listing is signed, not only is there help preparing documents for the actual listing or getting the property evaluated with your group, it's actually that once the contract is signed, the entire listing coordination team takes over, pays for your marketing, and gets your listing not only prepped for the market, but sign installed, lockbox on door, marketing there. Everything's provided. Mailers go out. Social media is actually provided for you. Everything's established. This is the idea of support, so agents do not have to spend their time doing activities that are not the highest producing, like lead generation, lead follow-up, writing contracts, negotiating, and practicing. Those are the things that agents should be focused on. From there, with support systems, I believe that mentorship is at the core. And so that's why we have leaders within our group who are constantly dedicated and incentivized financially to help our agents succeed directly. This means direct support with all of our systems and CRMs, our AI software, building their own brand, daily, weekly, and monthly accountability, writing business plans, time management. All of it flows together within a mentorship program. That's what agents want. They want the attention of someone who has been there and walked the road before. The definition of a leader, according to John Maxwell, is this: someone who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. And my understanding and belief as a team manifesto is this, is that we need leaders who know the way, go the way, and show the way to others, that each one teaches one. And by there, if we all work together, we actually have greater financial opportunity. And isn't that the whole point of this? Is financial opportunity for ourselves so that we can collectively grow together. If I was to tell you about a stock and I said, hey, this stock has the potential to make an enormous amount of money, and this might be true for some people who invested into cryptocurrency, but it has an extreme 87% rate to go to zero, would you do it? And what's funny about it is that most real estate agents don't understand that that's what the real estate industry is actually like. A huge opportunity for success, but also one with a very high probability for failure, and that's simply because they do not have the training, support, and leads that surrounds them. Continuing on a little bit more about support, people will talk about helping you build your own brand, and teams across the country, they have different opinions on this. This is my team manifesto, so I'm going to tell you my own opinion on it. I believe that team agents should get credit for everything that they do, everything. So if they sell a property, they get credit. If they list a property, they get credit for it. And the reality is that teams and brokerages and everyone gets so scared about diluting their own brand. My friends, there are teams right now inside of teams, inside of teams, inside of teams. And we put that on. The consumer is completely, they have no idea. But yet we do it all the time and they don't care because they're dealing directly with the agent. And the reality is this, let a team agent be able to have their own individual brand inside. Why? If back to the start of what I'm presenting on, you are a business owner, a 1099 contractor, self-employed, who is their own identity. So learn to own it, and not only that, have a community around you that encourages you to build your own organization within a larger organization, within a larger organization, and that's what we provide for our agents. Not only assistance helping build those brands, but also the marketing behind it. On top of that, we've decided for ourselves, if teams are going to get together and pool for resources, why not have extra professionals who are involved? So we have a full-time social media agency on retainer in order to help agents grow their own social media brands, build their own systems, and build their own operations inside of these large brands, which allows them to have businesses that flourish. Support can never go far enough. Now, we believe it for our agents that the business gets pretty crazy. Things get busy all the time, and we want to help agents at all levels. Agents ask me, why do people who are doing 17 million join your team? Why do people doing 27 million join your team, some in other states? And I tell them all the time, well, agents at every single level of the business, they need something different. The starting agent's like, oh my gosh, I just need to learn. I don't even care how much money I make. I just need to learn. Or God, I just need to put a house under contract. That's all they want. Agents from 5 to 8 million are like, well, I've actually got something going on. I know how to write contracts. I know these things. I need to establish myself as really a market authority. How to do that? And then from 8 to around 15 million, it's I need systems and operations put into place. Well, the ability to train and support and add those automations into their business and their own systems that allow their customer to get the same exact experience every time through systematized emails or drip campaigns or automations within the CRM, anything like that. That's extremely important, and that's what we teach. But once you get around 15 million and plus, now it's, hey, how do I get my own leverage around this? Well, the team's idea is to actually convert expenses into cost of sale. Let me go into that before we talk about leads. Expenses are things that are going to happen no matter what. If you're a solo agent, you're paying for your own photography, you're paying for your sign to be up, you're paying for your marketing and your glossy folders that they tell you will sell the property, you're paying for your everything. And it's all on the expense side. And there's probably only one cost of sale, which is your closing gift that you give and what you pay your brokerage. And the reality is this, many agents are not selling the same amount of houses every month. And because they're not selling the same houses every month, it's hard to make budget. It's hard to save for taxes. And so actually expenses can be very challenging, and you want to constantly pull back and forth while you're still in that momentum stage in order to balance your expenses. Well, the teams do the opposite. They convert all of those expenses of leads and transaction coordination and photography and coaching and personalized training. They convert all of that into cost of sale. And what that happens is that's actually the split that happens at the end of the day. So if you're a business owner, you just understood what I said. If you're not a business owner and you've been listening to a lot of the mantra about your splits and everything else, then you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, I just don't want to split. The idea behind this is what experience are you providing for your customer every time that they walk in the shop that you're trying to save all of your money. Now, I don't know any businesses out there, really successful businesses, that run on 100% ROI rate. None of them. If you walk into Starbucks, they have locations and cups and coffee and staff and everyone they have to buy. And they're making smaller profit margins. Grocery stores running huge operations, buying things, running 4% profit margins. Any of those. But as real estate agents, because of our scarcity mentality that the brokerages constantly tell us, we think to ourselves, I need to run at 100% ROI and cease to think of the idea of I need something consistent and something that will scale and provide me consistency in my business so that I'm never in a place of scarcity. I'm always in a place of abundance, and I constantly have business flowing to me. And eventually, one day, I'll have a business that I can actually sell. And that's exactly where we are in the real estate industry. So let me get into leads, and I'll close up support by this. If you're not getting the training in order to grow your business at every level, if you're not getting the support to grow your business at every level, all the way until you're 27 million and beyond, learning systems and operations that we're helping individuals across the country do, then you need to ask yourself, are you getting it where you're currently at? Is the individual who's guiding you, is the leader who's guiding you, have they been there before? Have they sold 100 million in real estate, 150, 200, 500 million in real estate? Do they actually know how to get to the next stages? And if they don't, what advice are you truly taking? And so as we get into leads, leads are one of my favorite topics to talk about, because what is a sales agent without leads? We see the movie Glengarry Glen Ross. It's the classic one where the leads suck. The leads don't suck, you suck. And the idea behind that is that there's this constant battle in between management and sales agents. And how do I grow my business? I just want leads and I just got to grow. Well, here's the difference. You can either give a man a fish or you can teach a man to fish. And my belief every day of the week is to teach a man to fish. That's how we do it. We teach people to grow their own businesses. And I believe that's through 6 ways. Through their sphere of influence, through online leads, through business-to-business relationships, through niche groups like you go to a gym or you go to a church or you go to this Italian-American club or whatever it is. That's a niche group that's specific pretty much only to you and maybe a few others. Neighborhood farming, which could be demographic, categoric, or geographic. All of these farmings that we do. And then there's distressed sales, things like relocation and REO and short sales and probate and all this stuff. We help agents grow in every single category, build marketing plans and funnels around all of it so that they can drive their own lead flow. On top of that, we believe that real estate agents should be able to get leads directly from their team, and that through pooled resources, economies of scale start to work, which means that if one agent wants to go out and buy some leads in an area, it's a lot of money. And it's hard because they're fighting between their own availability to take the calls and their own competency in order to do that. At Teams, we believe the opposite. We believe that agents, we can as a group, be a larger presence in the area that consumers want to do business with. We look larger. We want to do business with those who have lots of reviews. And so consumers want to do business with Teams. And when that happens, we're able to send leads to our agents and allow them to close the leads directly themselves, and also have customer care service that's in-house, calling on the leads, checking in with them, and literally lead following up on behalf of the real estate agent. On top of that, we also believe that our customer care should be inside of our teams and calling on leads in order to say, what's your experience like and how are you doing? And just caring for our customers, loving on them, nurturing them. And when they decide, you know what, hey, we actually do want to speak to a market professional, we're able to redirect them back to the real estate agent. And that has produced hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for agents in their pockets because they know that their leads are being cared for and loved on while they're out busy lead generating for more business out there. So we believe in teaching agents to fish. We also believe in utilizing the brand and the larger resource together in order to attract more business. We believe in helping agents learn how to market themselves, their own brand, and build their own funnels inside. So what's this all cost? And every agency across the country has teams inside of them, and they all have different splits. I'm going to do another presentation another time where I'm going to talk about the team models and how they all break down, how they attempt to run. Just think of it this way. In any business, just like the real estate industry for an individual sales agent, if an agent attempts to run at a high ROI rate with little that they're ever expending or little that they're ever spending on their customer experience, it's not going to be sustainable. That means that if they're just trying for the highest split possible or they're taking the most from their customer, they're not going to be able to sustain that for long. The reality is also true for real estate teams. Those who do not charge a good amount to their agents have trouble producing a lot of value for their agents. And so therefore, a question must always be asked. If I'm paying a very little split to be a part of a team, likely what resources are they providing back to me? Am I truly getting the individualized attention and coaching? Am I actually getting real leads in my database aside from rentals? Am I getting help and mentorship every single day? Am I having calls all the time on how to grow my business? Do I get help with all of my valuations? Do I get the opportunity to tour with people? Do I get the opportunity to expand and grow my own brand? Do I get the opportunity to mentor others? All of these things together combined into a huge experience that has a cost associated with it, and we call that a cost of sale. Now, brokerages propose this everywhere. For ourselves, we have a very upfront rate that teams at eXp who produce like us only pay $4,000 into their brokerage. That's it, $4,000. So people all the time say, oh, I don't want to split with a brokerage and I don't want to split with a team. Well, $4,000 is pretty dang low. And on top of that, with eXp's revenue share program, if you bring one person to eXp, 2 people to eXp, that's pretty much gone. And so it's very, very clear that you can have nearly a 0% split with your brokerage by being a part of a brokerage like ours. On top of it, for ours, we also believe that splits should be incentivizing based upon production. And so we provide for our agents the ability for them to have a very competitive split, which splits with our brokerage on a 50-50 rate and escalates to the point where if they're at a certain volume production, they actually escalate to 80-20. And here's how we generally determine that. If you're going to be in the business and you're going to start talking about providing leads to agents, let's start actually doing some math behind it. And so we provide leads to agents in such a way that upon average industry conversions, you can sell your $5 million worth of real estate, and that's business that would have never been brought to you in the first place. And so essentially, agents can be on what's called an 80-20 split near their entire time and on a team and get all of this value operations provided to you. It's absolutely incredible that agents think in a way that is that listens only to people who are providing a quantity-based model rather than a quality-based model, which is exactly how teams operate. I'm done, guys, having the agents who come to me and say, you know what, I had a bad experience with the team. I really didn't get any value out of the team. The person was rarely available. The person doesn't answer questions for me. They said it was going to be a certain way and it wasn't. They said they were going to provide leads and I don't get any. They said they were going to provide some space for me to work and there's nothing. That is not what a team is. And what a team is not just one individual sitting at the top getting the credit for everything. It should be that agents get the opportunity as 1099 contractors to, yes, be associated and build within a larger brand, but also have and retain their own identity and build their own identity. This is my team manifesto. I know it's probably going to ruffle a couple of feathers. I'm sure people are going to be upset at this. This is my typical thing because I'm happy to disrupt in this industry because I believe that it can be done better. And if there's anything that you hear from me, that is my mission and that's what I'm on. I believe that residential real estate can be done better. And I want real estate agents to have a better experience than I did. I'll leave you with this. When I first started, I was at a very small independent brokerage. And I remember that I couldn't even pay my mortgage at the time. I couldn't. I was so in a mindset of scarcity. I had gone out and I had secured a bunch of listings, and guess what? They all expired. This was back in 2011, 2012. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was just asking for help. And I remember at some point I went to a broker and I just said, hey, do you mind if I get a 5% commission bump better for myself? And I was told no. I was told instead to hand out magazines for the broker with the broker's email address and name on it because they would give leads to the broker who would then maybe provide opportunities for myself. And my friends, that's exactly in many ways how teams function today, all across the country. And I'm done with it. And I'm here to have a discussion and present my manifesto out there that I believe that teams provide what agencies can never provide. And I believe that we can provide training in a very intensive way, support in a direct fashion for agents, and leads in a way that teaches them to grow their own business. Brokerages can provide this in certain aspects and to a glimmer, and I'm sure there's some small examples out there, but it's few and far between, and the numbers prove it. If you've been interested in talking about teams, if you've been thinking, you know what, I need to take my business to the next level, I really need an opportunity in order to get a hold of my real estate career so it's not so unstable all the time. I want to build my own brand, but I don't know how, and I don't know if the people around me can actually show me how because they've never walked that road. They don't know the way, they don't go the way, and they can't show the way. You can never draw from a well of something that you don't have yourself, and many people are really, truly leaderless in their business, and that's where I'm the wall against which that crashes. That's the John Dutton quote for you as we end. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate this. If you want more information, there should be some links below in order to explore a little bit more about what it's like to be on a team. And please feel free to leave your comments. We'd love to answer your questions in the coming days. Have a good one, guys.